This video is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek takes tickets from all across the web and puts them into one area, making buying simple. They're rated on a scale from 1 to 100, so you know you're getting a good deal. Plus, if you haven't yet, use my promo code KTO for $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to SeatGeek for the sponsor. Now let's get back to the video. The Heisman Trophy, an award given to the most outstanding player in college football in any given season. Kids like me dreamed about winning the trophy. It's one of the most prestigious awards in all of American sports. Now, just because someone is recognized as the nation's most outstanding college football player doesn't mean that they'll translate well to the pros. This is due to a variety of reasons. But it just seems like many Heisman winners fail in the NFL. Today, we're going to look at Heisman winners from 2000 to 2009 and how they fared in the NFL on a tier list, separated into 6 categories. Starting from the top, we have Hall of Famer, guys who had long, storied careers, many Pro Bowls, and are considered to be one of the best players to ever play the game. Solid pro, dudes who balled out for many years. Maybe they even made a few Pro Bowls. Had moments, guys who were starters, but only managed to put together a good season here and there. One fluke season. Someone who overcame their limitations to put together something incredible, just for it to all fall apart. Career backup. Someone who made it to the league, but playing time was limited. And lastly, never made it. Someone who never managed to play in an NFL game. Okay, let's get started. In 2000, as a former minor league pitcher who didn't play college football until he was 26, Chris Weinke became the face of Florida State during the late 90s. He would finish with a career record of 32-3, won a national title, and he became the oldest player to ever win the Heisman Trophy. However, in the pros, it was a different story. Even with his massive frame and all the accolades that he received, Weinke didn't receive a ton of hype as a pro prospect. After being selected in the 4th round by the Carolina Panthers, he was named the starter immediately and even won his first game. But then it got ugly. 14 straight losses. He ended the year with mediocre numbers and would be demoted to backup behind Jake Delhomme. He was a backup in Carolina for 3 years and had one brief season in San Francisco before he retired. He belongs in the career backup tier. In 2001, Eric Crouch was a total beast at Nebraska.
First man Crouch, touchdown!
As a quarterback, Crouch was mostly a dynamic runner, and he ran away with the Heisman in 2001. Approaching the 2002 NFL Draft, teams really had no interest in taking him as a quarterback. When you look at his measurables, along with the fact that he wasn't a very consistent passer at Nebraska, his skill set didn't really translate to the pros. The only thing that made sense was possibly wide receiver. That was the exact intentions of the St. Louis Rams, as they ended up taking him in the 3rd round. Crouch would end up not playing a game for them after suffering a brutal leg injury before the season started. He bounced around after that in different leagues, never finding his way back to an actual NFL roster. He belongs in the never made it tier. There's no question that in 2002, the best player in the country was Carson Palmer. His huge jump in production from his junior to senior year was staggering. And by the end of 2002, he had secured the Heisman and was a lock to go number 1 in the upcoming NFL Draft. Since I just talked about him in my other ranking video a few weeks back, this section will be quick. Palmer lasted 14 years in the league, managing to make a Pro Bowl as a member of the Bengals and the Cardinals. He had that MVP-like season in 2015, and now sits in the top 15 all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He belongs in the solid pro tier. Jason White's story is amazing. He tore his ACL in his left knee during his 3rd season at Oklahoma. Then, once he recovered, he would tear his other ACL. After not being able to recover in time for his redshirt junior season, he would be granted a medical redshirt and would go on to throw for 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns. He would just edge out Larry Fitzgerald to win the Heisman in 2003. Jason White is a true inspiration. But as far as his chance to play in the NFL, he didn't stand a chance. He had no knees, and scouts knew it. He became the first Heisman Trophy winner ever to go unsigned by any NFL team. He belongs in the never made it tier. In 2004, the golden boy of college football was Matt Leinart. He quarterbacked the most popular team in the country, won the Heisman Trophy as a junior, and beat Jason White in Oklahoma soundly in the national championship. Leinart would then finish third in the Heisman the following year behind his own teammate Reggie Bush and Vince Young. He would eventually be drafted 10th overall by the Arizona Cardinals in the 2006 draft, and things started off great. In a game during his rookie year, he passed for a rookie record 405 yards, but that's where his NFL greatness ended. Similar to Chris Weinke, he never played much after his rookie season. After 2007, he only managed to start in 2 games before retiring in 2012. Overall, he belongs in the career backup tier. Although Reggie Bush had the award stripped away by breaking NCAA rules, he still won the award and may be the greatest college football player ever, so he belongs on this list. Reggie Bush was easily the most hyped up player in college football that we really had ever seen. After not going number 1 in the 2006 draft, ESPN's commentator Len Pasquarelli claimed that Houston selecting Mario Williams ahead of Bush was one of the biggest mistakes in NFL draft history.
Lines up as the tailback. Reeves swings it out to Bush. The ball is knocked away.
Reggie Bush would never live up to the ridiculous hype that he received coming out of college. But this doesn't mean that he was a terrible player. He would end up being a nice multi-purpose guy for the Saints. Also made an impact on their Super Bowl run in 2009. After his time in New Orleans, he finally cracked the 1,000-yard rushing mark with both the Dolphins and the Lions. He would eventually retire in 2016, marking 10 years in the league and 10,000 all-purpose yards. But he never managed to make a Pro Bowl or really have an elite season, so he belongs in the had moments tier. After getting Ohio State to the national championship game, Troy Smith would take the Heisman home in 2006 with the most first place votes ever. Although he was a sound passer in college, scouts and critics had major doubts about him due to his size. Then, after the ugly national title where they got crushed by Florida, his stock dropped. In the same draft that Jamarcus Russell and Brady Quinn went in the first round, Troy Smith fell all the way to the 5th round, and the Ravens made him their 3rd-string quarterback. Due to injuries to the quarterbacks ahead of him, Smith actually started 2 games during his rookie year. Those games, he played okay at best. And following the 2007 season, the Ravens decided to go draft Joe Flacco in the 1st round, eliminating any chances Smith had of being the future of the team. Smith wouldn't see any significant playtime until he signed with the Niners in 2010. He managed to start 6 games for them. In one of those, he was named SI NFL Offensive Player of the Week, but overall, he didn't do enough to impress the Niners, and they chose to not re-sign him after the season. His time on the field in the NFL was done after that. He bounced around the CFL and was out of pro football by 2014 after being released by the Montreal Alouettes. He belongs in the career backup tier. As one of the most popular and controversial players of all time, Tebow was a part of 2 national championship runs, and he nearly won 2 Heisman trophies during his time at Florida. The question of whether or not he could make it to the NFL as a quarterback was an interesting debate. Some felt that he deserved to be a 1st-round pick, while others felt that he was undraftable altogether due to his awful throwing mechanics and him not really having the best skills to be a true quarterback in the NFL. After the Denver Broncos selected him late in the 1st round in 2010, no one really knew what to expect. He played sparingly as a rookie, but the following year, 2011, he stole the show. When it seemed like Denver was all but eliminated from the playoffs, Tebow led them on a 6-game win streak and managed to sneak them into the playoffs with some of the worst quarterback numbers we had ever seen. But at the time, it didn't matter. They beat the Steelers in the wild card in incredible fashion, and I'm pretty sure this was the peak of Skip Bayless's career. But here's the thing. Most people knew that this whole thing was a fluke. Even Denver's front office knew they shouldn't roll the dice on Tebow at quarterback again. They signed Peyton Manning in the offseason and traded Tebow to the Jets. Tebow never managed to make an impact in the league after that. The Jets used him in a variety of head-scratching ways that all seemed to amount to nothing. He was eventually released, and he would never find playing time again in the league. He belongs in the 1 fluke season tier. In 2008, Sam Bradford became the pocket quarterback that Oklahoma had been missing since the days of Jason White. Bradford's dominant sophomore season earned the Sooners a chance to play in the national title, and it also won him the Heisman Trophy. His junior season would be riddled with injuries. After barely playing, he decided to forego his senior year to enter the 2010 NFL Draft. Although he had multiple injuries, the St. Louis Rams ignored those concerns and took him number 1 overall. He would have a pretty solid first season, becoming the 3rd rookie quarterback to pass for over 3,000 yards, set a variety of rookie records, and won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, the next few years would be up and down. They were plagued by injuries. He managed to play well at times when healthy, including leading the league in 2016 in completion percentage, but he just couldn't avoid the injury bug, and he hasn't been on a roster since November 2018. He belongs next to Reggie in the had moments tier. Alabama's dynasty was born on the back of Mark Ingram. His bruising style of running punished his SEC opponents in 2009, and he became the first Heisman Trophy winner ever at Alabama. This also helped Nick Saban earn his first national title with the Crimson Tide. The following year, Ingram was solid, but it definitely felt overshadowed with the emergence of Trent Richardson, who many felt was already better than Ingram. Ingram decided to forego his senior year and was selected in the first round by the New Orleans Saints. He didn't wow anyone right off the bat, but things started to click by his 4th year when he rushed for nearly 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. Once the Saints drafted Alvin Kamara, these two became a tandem. During the 2017 season, they both dominated. Now, Mark Ingram is the feature workhorse back next to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He still has some tread on his tires too. As of right now, he has put together a very respectable career in the league. He belongs in the solid pro tier. When looking at this list, it seems like most of these dudes would be considered a disappointment. Not even half of these guys would end up being good at the professional level. This is a big part of why people have been skeptical for a long time about Heisman Trophy winners in the NFL. But who knows? We have seen some of these guys who have recently won the trophy ball out at the next level. Perhaps the stigma around Heisman Trophy winners will change soon.
Drive starts at the 1 and looking for a little breathing room, and they get that and plenty more. Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might